Yo, what's up? It's been too long. I think it's about 2 weeks now since I last posted a video. But yeah, the patch notes is out. I glanced over it and I am heavily disappointed as usual. So instead of talking about the patch notes, I'm gonna go over the problems that Dislyte has right now. But before that, I'm just gonna briefly go through the new unit. It's a DPS Esper that scales off accuracy, HP, attack, and some other stuff as well. And she can also disable passive. Is she gonna be broken? 100%. But aside from the new unit, this update has absolutely nothing. I've listed 7 problems, but there's definitely more. So the first problem I'm going to be talking about is going to be Dislyte has no new content. I think this one is pretty obvious to everyone. The last time we got new content it was during the anniversary, which was in somewhere in this patch right here. It was during the Anomaly Season 3, Phase 1 and 2, where we got the maze-like event. But the problem with that was the event was so easy that it required 0 player input. You can pretty much just go in, full auto the whole thing. And the crazy thing is, the content that we got for the maze-like event, the best way to farm this content is not even to play it. You just go in, you skip all of the battles, and then once you get to the boss phase, you exit out, and then you restart the fight. So you do 0 fights in order to get all of the currency to farm out the points, right? If it's so easy to the point where you can just shut your eyes and shut your brains off, and literally the best way to farm it is just to exit out of the fight, then that isn't new content. When I look at the current patch, I was a little bit excited when I saw this. The Ops Dispatch and also the Dark Pilgrimage. It's a new name, but unfortunately when you read the thing, it is just daily challenges. So you use specific Espers in daily challenges to get some rewards. So it's not new content. And then the Dark Pilgrimage is just the Nocturne Echo pools. That's what they call it, right? And everything else is just recycled content. Championship is garbage. However, I do kind of like the Joint Forces one because they do change it slightly a little bit. So this one is kind of nice, but again, most of them is pretty easy. It's just Esper check at the end of the day. So yeah, that's it for my first point. And again, even if we do get new content, it is so easy to the point where you can just shut off your brain, right? Now, the second point is going to be endgame PvE is hard log, meaning the resources are hard log as well, right? Because in order for you to get more rewards, more Nexus Crystals and more Shimmer Records, you need to do well in leaderboard system. But currently in Dislyte, all of the Ritual Miracle is now turn log. You can turn log Chronos, APAP and also Yunglong in 3 turns, and you can also clear Fafnir in 4 turns. So any future new players will not be able to get into endgame PvE. Therefore, they are also going to be losing out on a lot of resources because they cannot compete in leaderboard content, which means new players have 0 chance of keeping up with old players. Not only are you Esper locked, you are also turn locked out of endgame PvE. So you cannot get the rewards from leaderboard content anymore. Now this is only pertaining to Ritual Miracle. It's not so much for the Shadow Bosses, because in Shadow Bosses, you can get infinite score. It is just based off of who can score higher, right? Whereas in Ritual Miracle, it is turn-based, so you can only go so low of a turn to the point where it's impossible to go even lower. Alright, point number 3 is going to be too many premium Espers. You guys already know this game is littered with premium Espers, with Umbra Espers and also Keepsake Esper. The worst one is, in my opinion, is going to be Keepsake, right? Keepsake Esper is so garbage. Nobody likes it. It's even worse when the Keepsake Esper is so OP. For example, like Meta Era. Meta Era at R0 is good, but it's not even 50% of your kit. At R4, she literally more than doubles your score in the Shadow Bosses. How insane is that? So not only are they premium, they also require high resonance. And the next one is going to be Nocturne Echo. They're not as premium as Keepsake Esper because you can summon for them, but the cost of the Umbra disc is absurd. 600 for one disc is crazy. So I would include them as premium Espers as well. The game would be far better off without Keepsake Espers, but I think Nocturne Echo is pretty decent if they do it well, which I'll talk about later on. But yeah, third point is just too many premium Espers. My fourth point is going to be 0 summoning experience. This is called a gacha game, but the gacha in this game is so garbage. Again, you have Keepsake Espers where you don't even summon for the unit, and you instead summon for 1/8 of a copy of an Esper. Remove Keepsake Esper, man. In a gacha game, it is imperative for you to have this thrill when you are summoning. As a new player, when you play a gacha game, the first thing you do, or the first thing you want to do, is actually summon for a new character. And if you somehow play Dislyte as a new player, and you play during the time that the current Esper is a keepsake Esper, you will have no thrill at all when you summon for that keepsake Esper. Because when you see gold on your screen, it is not even the Esper, it is their keepsake. And you need to pull 8 of those keepsakes. If you pull 7 out of 8, then guess what? You get absolutely nothing. How's that fun? I've pulled double keepsake in one multi a lot of times, and all of those times I've showed 0 reaction. Because I still need to pull 6 other keepsakes for me to pull the Esper. And the other one is going to be Nocturne Echo. Right now, the Nocturne Echo is absolutely garbage. You have 1% rate of a legendary Esper, and the only Esper that is in the banner is the new Umbra. So when you pull a legendary Esper, you already know that it's going to be the new Umbra Esper. There is, again, 0 thrill. As a new player, when you get into a gacha game, come on, it's in the name. You want to do your summons. And when you do your summons, you want to be thrilled. You also want to feel scammed a little bit. But with the Nocturne Echo pull, you don't really pull for the unit. You actually just pull for not hitting pity. I'm trying to phrase it a little better. You only get excited when you pull outside of pity. Even if you see the legendary animation, you're not excited for the legendary because you already know what it is. You are excited because you pull before you hit pity, which is not as thrilling. The only time I'm excited when I'm summoning in Dislyte is when I summon for gold records. But guess what? Now that Echo Pool or Nocturne Echo Pool is in the game, you don't even want to summon for, or you don't even want to spend for gold records anymore, because the new Umbra Esper is going to be absolutely broken. Next point number 5, PvP isn't real. Now I want you guys to count how many PvP modes we have in the game right now. Point War, Beat Bout, Knockout, RTA, and also Guild Wars. So we have 5, right? Okay, so the first one I'm going to talk about is going to be RTA. RTA is right now littered with bugs. I have not played a single game, by the way, because as soon as the update dropped, I went into the bug report section and I already saw a bunch of people just reporting the most ridiculous bugs related to RTA. And after I saw that, not gonna lie, I just couldn't be bothered to play RTA anymore. So that's RTA, right? Littered with bugs, almost unplayable. Now let's talk about Beat Bout and Knockout. Beat Bout and Knockout is not even PvP. It is not even PvAI. It's not player versus AI. It is literally AI versus AI. I want you guys to think about this real quick. In Beat Bout, you only have the input to choose your team and choose your opponent. And that's it. You cannot control your team. You cannot control how the skills are used. You can only control the teams that you use and the opponent that you fight. So literally it's AI versus AI. 0 player input. Very fun. Knockout, on the other hand, you don't even get to choose your opponent. So it's literally AI versus AI. You choose your team and then you pray to God. That's it. The only semblance of player versus AI that we have is Point War. Because Point War, you can manual your fights, which means you can choose what skills to use. So you have that agency. You can choose your team, what you want. You can choose who you go up against. You can choose your cards, what you want to use. But again, you're not actually fighting real players. It is just fighting a projection of a player, right? So you're fighting an AI of a player. Guild Wars is also pretty much the same thing as Beat Bout, where you choose your team and you cannot choose your skills, what you want to use. You can only choose your opponents. So of the 5 PvP game modes that I mentioned just now, only one of them is real PvP, and that one PvP mode is littered with bugs, and the rest of the PvP game mode is literally AI versus AI. So yeah, that's my 5th point. PvP isn't real in Dislyte. Alright, my 6th point is going to be new units have 0 hype. Let's take a look at the previous patch, right? Oh no, let's take a look at the current patch that we have. Look at this god. Like, who... I don't even know which mythology this god is. Utu. What is this? And one patch before that, or the current patch that we have right now, is Ryota. Inari no Okami. Let's Google Inari Okami real quick. It's a Japanese kami, a type of god or spirit associated with prosperity, rice. Brother man. Are you crazy, brother man? You're telling me the God of Rice has any semblance of hype? How are you going to attract new players when the units that you release is literally a God of Rice? Brother, what are we doing? And the problem is, most well-known or famous gods have already been released. If you look at the game right now, we have Zeus, we have Ares, we have Odin, we have Hades. Now, of the 4 gods that I've mentioned just now, 3 of them is completely useless. 3 of them. Zeus, Hades, Ares. Ares is a god of war, by the way. A god of war is completely useless in Dislyte. Zeus, the god of gods, is completely useless in Dislyte. How is that possible? I still remember when they released Ggez, which was Zeus, right? I was so hyped just because it was Zeus. Not because he was good or anything, it was just because he was Zeus. Now, even if we get completely broken unit, it's Utu? I don't even know what this god is. Let me search it up. In Sumerian mythology, it's a goddess associated with weaving, plants, and the earth. Okay, it's pretty cool. I've never heard of it though, so I'm not hyped for it at all. And this is very important, right? Because as a new player, the first thing you want to look for in a game, the first one is going to be gameplay. But before you get into the gameplay, it's actually the units. So if the units have no hype, most of the time, new players won't even try the game. You need to attract players first before you can retain them with your gameplay, right? And the best way to attract new players is to release new hype units, which in Dislyte's case is going to be famous gods, which unfortunately they've already used most, if not all of them. So yeah, it's very unlucky. And my last point is going to be bugs. Dislyte, oh my god, I think this is the only game that I've played where every single patch has a game-breaking bug. Right now, there's the RTA bug. The bug before that, we had the unit that works well with Yukine or Yuhime. I don't even remember her name anymore. Maria. Maria bug is still around in the game, where you use her in Daxalot and she still works. And in the new patch, I can guarantee you Tyrell is going to be game-breaking in terms of gameplay and also bugs as well, because she disables passive. And there's going to be a lot of passive in the game, some with dedicated skills, and some in, sometimes S3 has passive skills as well, right? So I think she's going to bug out the game, where some passive will trigger and some passive will not. Now hold on, I'm not gonna lie, some bugs are fun. Like for example, the Haley bug is pretty fun for me. And in my opinion, the Maria bug is also pretty fun in some of the bosses. But at the end of the day, it is still a bug, and I don't know if they want to fix it or they want to keep it in the game like Haley's bug. If you don't know what Haley's bug is, her debuff can transfer over to the next fight, so you can make use of her debuff, which isn't fixed. By the way, that bug has been around since the first version of Sentinel Hunt, where we only had Daxalot. So that's about like 2 years, I think, at this point. So yeah, those are all my 7 problems with Dislyte. Now, I'm gonna go over the solution. So the first one, no new content, just make new content, come on. Make new content that is difficult to clear, that is super endgame, that is also rewarding. Like for example, we have the one patch where you wanted to release Transcendence feature on some of the units on Javid. You can attribute that to a really hard PvE endgame content, and then give units a second awakening or something. And this second awakening will only be released on older units, so one at a time. I think that would be great, but I think at this point it's kind of a pipe dream for Dislyte to release any new content, to be honest with you. And then number 2, endgame PvE hardlock. The one solution I have is to reset the leaderboard once every couple of months, maybe once every major patch. And then the other one is going to be use other metrics for clearing time. So instead of using turns, we can maybe use time taken. For example, if you clear Chronos in like 10 seconds, you're going to be higher in the leaderboard, something like that. You can also use other metrics as well. Like for example, if you use epic Espers, you're going to get more score or something like that. That way it's just not based on the lowest turn count, which again at this point is hardlock. You have all of the 4 bosses pretty much hard lock at 3 and 4 turns. You cannot go any lower than that. And then for the next point is going to be use a point-based system. Like for example, in Chronos, you can clear it as fast as possible, which will give you points. But if you do a huge nuke on the boss, huge excess nuke, like for example, the Chronos has 1 million HP and you do like 5 million, the 4 million points damage that you do will be granted as excess points. So it's not just about speed clearing at that point, right? You also want to do a really big nuke so that you can get more points that way. There's definitely other ways that you can make PvE endgame better, but these are my 3 points. And then for the third point, for the third problem, too many premium Esper, just no more keepsake please. And then for the Umbra, the Nocturne Echo Pool, lower the cost of the Umbra disc or make them give wish stones. Right now, the Umbra disc costs 600, whereas Gold Records costs 200, right? And Gold Records, legendary in Gold Records will give you 20 of the wish stones. Umbra gives 0. If Umbra gives at least maybe 30 wish stones per legendary that you pull, it's still pretty decent because right now Gold Records have no use at all aside from wish stones, right? And generally the Umbra disc just costs way too much. If you want to maintain the 600 per disc, it should at least give 30 to maybe 40 wish stones. So like maybe half of the wish stone count that you would get from Gold Records equivalents. And then point number 4, 0 summoning experience. The first point is just going to be remove garbage keepsake. Again, there is 0 thrill when you summon for a keepsake Esper. You don't even summon for the unit, you summon for 1/8 of the unit. That's really fun. And then also in the Nocturne Echo Pool, right now we only have 1 Esper, which is going to be the new Umbra. The better way to do this, I've already mentioned this in my previous video, is to include other Umbra Espers and also other meta Espers as well as unfeatured. For example, right now we have the new Tyrell. You'll have this unit at 1% rate or 0.5% rate or something, and then you have 0.5% rate of Seek, and then you have 0.5% rate of unfeatured Espers. That includes Meta Era, Meta Yunchuan, Meta Liling, all of the other Meta Espers. So that way when you summon, you don't get the thrill of just pulling outside of your PT. When you pull a legendary, you don't know what you're gonna get, right? So there is a thrill to it. Obviously keep the hard PT. If you hit like 100 summons without the legendary Esper, you'll be given one of the new legendary Umbra for free. But in order to make the summoning experience better, it needs to include other Espers, not just the new unit. Otherwise, this Umbra banner is just going to be another stupid banner that we just summon for 1 unit. Number 5, PvP isn't real. One of my solution is going to be permanent RTA content, where the rewards are going to be based on the number of games that you play. Winning counts as more games, but even if you lose, it will count towards your game count. So as you play more games, you'll get more rewards, and then it maybe caps out at maybe 50 games per week or per patch, per month or something like that. And then once the month is over, you will reset the rewards, and then players will be able to get the rewards once again. So that way everyone is happy. Even if you play and you lose, all you need is 50 games and you'll get all of the rewards that you can get from this permanent RTA content. And in my opinion, I think this one is going to be very important because Dislyte right now has no endgame PvE, and the PvP in this game is non-existent as well. It's AI versus AI. Alright, number 6. New units have no hype. One of my solution is going to be do collabs. I didn't even notice until recently when Vulcan posted a video where AFK Arena did a collab with solo leveling. How crazy is that? And by doing collabs, it's able to attract players that isn't currently playing the game. I went back to playing 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross because of a solo leveling collab. Again, new units is very important in order to get back returning players or in order to attract new players. My next solution is not ideal, but it is to reuse pre-existing gods. Right now, again, we have Zeus, Hades, Ares, all of which are completely useless in the game. What I think they can do is maybe Zeus got tired of Ggez and then he just gives up on Ggez and goes for another vessel. So that way we get another new unit that isn't Ggez, but it's Zeus, because Zeus got tired of Ggez. if that makes any sense. Because Ggez is a bum that does nothing in the game right now, right? So maybe they can do that, I don't know. Again, this one is not ideal, but there's not much they can do because they already released, and they poorly released all of these hype gods too early in the game. Ggez, or not Ggez, Hyde was released even before the game launched, by the way. He was in the beta version, and look at him now. He's absolutely garbage with no use at all in the game. When a new player gets into the game and they see Hades, one of their favorite god, the god of hell, is Hyde that has zero purpose in the game, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna quit the game on the spot. So yeah, number 7, bugs, just fix it. So yeah, that's about it. These are all my solution and also the problems. Again, I think most people would agree with me, maybe not some. I think most people don't care about PvP at this point. This one probably is non-issue for most people. I think most people just go for furry characters at this point, so you don't care about hype anymore. Dislyte at this point is not even a game. You might as well just remove the gameplay aspect of Dislyte and just release characters, you know, furry characters if you want, whatever it is. Now before I end the video off, I want to show you guys something very sad. This is going to be the gacha revenue or Dislyte revenue for the month of July, and look at this. Look at the downturn. This is when we got meta era, or I think before that, or during meta era, and then this was Ggez patch, and then this is, oh my god, 500,000. Oh my god, 500,000. By the way, this is combined revenue, so it's combined with global, CN, and JP. The crazy thing is, CN version on its first release got 13 million. Now it's barely even making 500,000. Isn't that crazy? So yeah, that's about it. Ciao.